I love you.
Oh, come on, bob that head. Oh, give thanks. Come on. Oh, give thanks. No matter what is going on in your life, oh, give thanks. Because I promise you, if you look around, if you just stop and look around, there are people that are experiencing worse than you are. And we're not understating that yours is not, because we experience some very real things. But the joy that we can get in the Lord is to decide to celebrate in the midst, and even with tears, still celebrate, because it's going to get better. Welcome, welcome, welcome to you and to you and to you to the Spice of Life variety show, where, as Kenneth Copeland would say on his show, where Jesus is Lord. We bring you greetings from the West Angeles Church of God in Christ, where in Los Angeles, California, Bishop Charles C. Blake and Mrs. May L. Blake serve as our leaders. We invite you to visit the Crenshaw area, Jefferson and Crenshaw, Exposition and Crenshaw, and any weekend, just join in with us and be blessed of the Lord. Well, I want you to grab your pen and your paper, because at the very conclusion of the show, we will have our contact information, and we have a very special doctor in the house, and so you very well might want to contact Dr. Gabriel Crenshaw, because today's show is Meet Dr. Gabriel Crenshaw. How you doing?
Hey, baby, how are you, Dr. Lewis?
I'm fine. How you doing?
I'm nervous, but I'm okay.
You okay? You gonna live through this?
I'm gonna live through it. Medication or something.
It's amazing. A man who is as talented as you are, as blessed as you are, you know, you are, I mean, not only are you a professional psychologist, but you're a musician. I mean, a man with many different hats. But it's amazing that you still get nervous doing things like this.
Are you kidding me? It's been like that since I was a kid.
Really?
I think you always want, at least I do. I heard Tony Bennett say this, that he always got nervous, and Frank Sinatra said to him, it's because you really want to do your best. There's an audience out there, and they're coming to see something good. You don't want to disappoint them. I don't want to disappoint you.
Oh.
I don't want to disappoint you.
Oh, well, you know what? Well, then rest your mind. You have not. I've known you for a number of years. We've done a lot of things together, and you have just, proven to be really a person that's dependable. I mean, acting. Come on. I mean, what? Probably the question would be, what haven't you done? Because you've done everything else.
Well, I haven't done your show until now, so hey, things are looking up.
Okay, no, don't even try. Don't even try.
No, I'm serious.
Don't even try.
I am really proud of you. To watch somebody, you're an inspiration to me. I'm certain that during certain periods when I was in graduate school and going through certain things, I can tell you that Overcomers Retreat that I did, when the first time you tapped me and asked me to do that, in the sea of all of those incredible musicians you had to work with, my God, man, Yvette from Kurt Carr and Mizell and Michelle and those people. And I appreciate that. Those were the years that got me through. Really.
And it was really a blessing that you were a part of the Overcomers Thanksgiving retreats, because the Lord really did bless us. And when you mentioned Yvette of the Kurt Carr singers, I had to kind of laugh, because I can remember it was at the retreat that she said that she didn't believe that she could sing.
Exactly.
Come on, do you remember that?
Well, because we drove up together. She rode with me, and boy, we had a terrific time.
Wow.
But on the way back, after everything that happened that year, we flew back to LA.
I mean, this girl singing us to the mountaintop.
Are you kidding me?
And said she didn't believe she could sing. And so,
I understand that, though.
And so you've been blessed, and we've been blessed.
Well, hey,
thank you.
Thank God.
And then now here you are. You've expanded your wings and your gifts, and now you've gone into professional counseling. Now, how long have you been involved with counseling?
Well, let's see. Since like 2000, about 5 years now. But it's been very interesting, because I'm secularly trained.
Okay.
And then, of course, there's the spiritual side. I mean, the Christian side at the time, but I think more spiritual now at this juncture in my life. And finding a way to reconcile all of that and still keep God. It shook the very foundation, but God was still left standing, so it's okay, But yeah.
Do you specialize in a particular area of counseling, or what?
Well, multicultural community clinical. That was my emphasis area.
And you would break that down for me.
I'll break it down.
You must break that down to me.
People of color, non-white. I don't use the term minorities anymore, and in any particular lecture that I'm doing, I say there is no such thing as a minority. Just the label alone has a sort of self-fulfilling prophecy that only results in inferiority. If there is a minority, there has to be a majority, and I don't know anybody in America or any other place in the world where a majority doesn't rule.
Okay.
And if you got a chance to be on which side are you choosing?
Majority.
Exactly. So we all are here. I mean, when I think about, I tell, you know, my students and people that I speak to, when we're talking about the brain, the limbic system, the prefrontal cortex, where your thoughts and planning and all of these things are. There isn't a Latino one, a black one, a white one. There isn't one more superior. The hypothalamus is that, but then there's the thalamus. You know, so in that sense, you might have some hierarchy there. But when we think about it as far as the human species is concerned, this is a silly notion, and do away with that. Do away with that. So for me, psychology saved my life.
Okay.
I found myself, and it saved my life to a great degree.
Wow, that is truly amazing. That it was first a self-medication or self-help,
Oh,
and
believe
then
me.
spread out, huh?
Believe me, I was a mess. I was a mess. But it looked like it was put well together, which mirrors a lot of men, particularly black men. But when you start to do the work, you're forced to find who you really are. And so for me, it was good, and it was a calling. It was a spiritual calling for me. I'm serious. It was a spiritual calling for me to go back to school and to become a professional psychologist.
Really?
A spiritual calling. God said, go back.
Go back. Because I mean, I know you've been in the music world, and you're a very gifted musician, etc. Was that the direction you wanted to go in originally, or what did you want to do?
Sure, it was, and it still is, and thank God there's a lot of things happening, which I'll maybe touch on later, about that, where, you know, you take care of God's business, and then He'll take care of the business that He always had for you in the first place, that you were too stupid to see. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It's that seek but never find. But I realized that the industry, the entertainment industry, is just screwed up. You know, I mean, it's a machine, but it's run by people. So people are screwed up. And what I wanted to do was figure out my central question when I was writing my essay for graduate school and trying to figure out what I wanted to do and even think about dissertation was, how can these people, entertainers, sports figures, actors, musicians, secular and gospel, you feel me?
I feel you.
How can they be the answer to so many people on a stage where people will risk not paying their rent on time, buy a new outfit just to go see you, hear you sing, watch you play? You have all these answers for everybody on stage, and off stage, your life's a mess.
Total mess.
You're living in $1 million slum. I didn't understand how that could happen.
Wow, $1 million slum.
$1 million, hell has many mansions too.
Wow, that's deep.
You know?
That's deep.
So I didn't want to be one of those kinds of people. I really didn't. You know, and I saw some things that I didn't like, and I wanted to understand, and I'm a perpetual student anyway. And I thought if I could figure some of these things out, then I would go back and I would talk to other people.
And you know what? You have such a way of expressing yourself that you command attention, and you also challenge attention, which is good. You know, I mean, because of the fact that now, as long as I've been teaching, now I've never thought about hell having many men. You know, but you know, different, or the $1 million slum lifestyle that one can have. You mentioned about men and and understanding yourself. Help us, Dr. Crenshaw. Why is it that men are slow about coming and getting help that professionals like yourself can give? Now, you know, because women, you know, we have a tendency, we are calm.
Sure.
But what's happening there with men?
Well, you know, first of all, we're just afraid. Now, I'm a psychologist, and part of my curriculum in my program was I had to do therapy for a year. Do you know I waited until my last year? I was resistant. Now, I'm going to be the guy with the pad, with you're on the couch and you're laying down, and here I am. I didn't want to do it myself. I wanted to hide. We are afraid to have to do the intrapsychic work and really find out who you are. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. As a black man, which is how I identify first, this is tough living here in America. It's tough living anywhere in the world. I mean, we have this interesting dichotomy of brilliance matched with complete and total perceived ignorance. There's no place for the soul or the spirit or the mind to sort of connect. It is, but we elude it.
Okay.
It's seemingly from ourselves, and so we can't figure it out, and we are simply afraid of what we will find.
And so, for that wife who has whose marriage is in trouble,
pray, baby, pray.
and she's trying to convince her husband to go to counseling.
Can't do it.
Okay.
Here. There is no convincing people to go to counseling.
Okay.
Unless it's court mandated.
Okay.
And even still, people will fail.
There's a resistance.
Sure, it's a resistance.
Sitting there before you.
It is. I mean, I can't tell you how many letters I've written in court for patients as an intern. Here is the key. You got to be motivated to want to do this. You know, it's interesting that secular and psychology is so far from, secular psychology and spirituality, religion is so far from it in many cases, when in actuality they're very similar, because any more than, you know, you can only come to God when you believe that He is. And He doesn't cease to be God because you don't believe that He is.
Exactly.
Well, psychology doesn't cease to be effective just because you don't think it is.
Right.
You know, God isn't stupid, and He understands that you are afraid, but He's still there. So when you finally realize, you know, that you accept the call, because He's always calling, you just accept it. It's the same thing. I tell women in couples therapy that I have done in the past, particularly as an intern, if you want to stay with him, and you can see he's riddled with problems, then you have to resign yourself that you're going to work on you. When you get tired, then you have another choice. Sometimes I think the failure in a marriage is that people actually stay together. So it depends. Men are, once they come in, the floodgates open up, and I'm telling you, black men talk. They cry. Young black men, they're crying out. I mean, God, these bullets that we see, let me tell you, the bullets, that's nothing more, these tears. That's all that is. LA is riddled with all of this homicide. The senior at LA High.
Right, exactly.
More just bullets, tears. We are really a flooding city.
Crying out, huh?
Yeah, and it's not just the blood that's spilling; it's these tears that are spilling, you know. And these young boys to men, need all the help they can muster. And unfortunately, most of the men, from all the way to the top, professors, musicians, actors, preachers, pastors. I've seen it all, baby. I've seen it all. We're hurting, and we don't know how to say help because we can't be weak, Tonya. The last thing you can be is a punk.
Dr. Crenshaw, what can that mother who has sons, because you know we've always told that a woman can't raise a man, or a woman can't raise a son. What can that mother do that doesn't have the man in her life, or the positive man in her life for her son?
Well, she's got to raise him. Yes. A single mother can raise a successful child, male or female. But there is an absence of what it is to see an effective man. But what she can do is, you got to be careful, but try to link him up with, you know, where's her brother? Where's her great uncle? Where's her uncle? Where's her grandfather? So that he can see that. I would say church, but that doesn't always work either. And it's an ongoing commitment. But see, that's again the problem with men. We have a difficult time committing. So she could turn her son on to this particular man and help. You know, he'll be there for a minute, but he's got a problem committing because he should have been in therapy 12 years ago. So
help us, Lord.
Yeah. So don't love him so much. Raise him, but don't love him so much. Understand that he is going to be a man. You know, the same way you're preparing that daughter, you need to cook, you need to be responsible financially, you need to prepare the guy the same way. And I understand, you know, we got to protect our sons. That's the man child, and the world is out to get him. But you cannot love him so much that you smother him in protection, because that is not real life.
You know, you just answered, because the question I was going to ask you next, how is it that we can not be guilty in being an enabler?
Right.
to them, and you're answering
exactly.
that, aren't you?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Well, he would go to school, you know, demand the same thing from him. If it's A's and B's from your girl, the boy needs to be pulling that in too. He needs to be held accountable sexually. It's not okay for him to sow his wild oats, and here's your daughter sitting right there. You're sending an incredible message to this kid that it's perfectly okay. But I understand that too, because we don't want our boys to be punks. So we create this sort of hyper-masculinity in them, you know, that, you know, to be rough and tough, of course, equals sexual prowess. Now AIDS is running rampant, and we're sitting back scratching our heads wondering why. You know, so there's a lot. I understand the psychological perspective, but it doesn't make a lot of sense. You know, pray and ask God for wisdom in some things, you know, and you're going to have to know when to take your hands off and let your son become the man. And you don't know what that feels like as a mother because you've never been a man. You don't know what that is.
Okay, on a personal note now. This is helping me right now.
Dr. Lewis?
Y'all can listen in. As a mother who has grown sons, who I think sometimes I love too hardly.
Probably.
Probably.
Because you're a good mother.
Thank you. What perimeters should I set for myself in not being an enabler with my grown sons?
When you feel that thing, stop. You know, see, the Spirit is always there with us. You know, psychology actually was really, as we see it today, the study of it in its original state was a study of the soul and spirit by the ancient KMTs. Egypt, Africa, black people. There wasn't an empirical side to it. And so the Europeans came along and they borrowed from the Greeks the word psyche and the suffix ology, put it together, and you got psychology, because they wanted to study the mind and the mental process and behavior. That you can measure and say, now we have a science. So in the same way that has happened, you go back to your original roots. As a mom, there's a thing that tugs in your heart. You know, like, you know when something's up with your kids? You know when something's up when you're going too far. When you need to let him make the mistake. When you need to say, I want to do this so badly, it's going to enable him. I want to protect him from this. I want to love him past this. Tonya, you can't. First of all, it's not your job to be his protector. That's what God is for. So, thou shalt have no other gods before me. Well, we end up setting up idol worship with our kids, and we force our kids into idol worship almost too. Because you know what, when I moved out, I was 19 years old. My mother hated it.
Oh, I can't.
She hated it.
Lord have mercy.
I'm a Pentecostal boy, moved out when I was 19, wanted to do my thing. But I was responsible. I was in school. I watched my mom's work ethic, and I told my mom, you did your job for 18 years. It's my turn. And I found myself, she was with Central Trust Bank, so I went with Central Trust Bank. I would call when we had functions to go to. I'd call my sister and say, kind of like, tell mom, you know, I'm going to wear this blue suit with this tie, and see what she says. If she doesn't like it, find out what she would say. He ought to wear such and such. Finally, one day, my sister said to me, hey, grow up. You moved out, now be a man.
Tough love, huh?
It was tough love. It's what I needed to do. So I'm probably a little more harsh on men because I did it so early. But it can be done. It can be done, and you've got to step back. Do you not trust the foundation of which you raised them on?
You know what? My son said the same thing. He said, Mom, you already, you taught us about that. We okay. We're not going to do that. And so,
well, the fact, but the fact of the matter is, yes, they will do some of that too. And wait a minute, right? You know, and you know they will. You know they will. But you know, but through it all, you have to learn to trust. And a good therapist, a good psychologist, will fit with the family where there can be a level of trust and empathy. And that's what you want. It's very spiritual.
And you know, and that's why I really celebrate you, because you are a wonderful model of what our African and African American men can look to and become.
Well,
you know.
Thank you. It's an ongoing struggle for me. And let me tell you something. So here I am in America. I get a phone call. I didn't tell you this. I get a phone call from about 3 weeks ago from London. I am on my way to London, Paris, Oxford, probably go to Africa too, but particularly London, because what we're talking about right now, particularly with the problems of black males, it's happening there too.
Really?
I was floored. You know, we have this ideal approach of London being this, they're very proper and they don't have the problems. And, I got this phone call and did a radio show there already, and invited guest, and I thought, isn't this amazing that my answering the call to go back to school, if I do nothing else but be a model for other black men, and I love the Latinos as well. I've had a lot of Latino patients over the years. But let me tell you something, I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
So you know who I'm going for first. I want to save me. I want to save me. I'm going to.
That's powerful.
I'm going to.
That is so, and so the multicultural aspect, what do you get into when you get into that vein?
Well, because we're no longer looking at this Eurocentric thought system of white people being the gold standard anymore.
Okay.
It's in the American Psychological Association. I'm studying it right now. That we've moved into, the world is very multifaceted, it's multicultural. First of all, people of color, non-white, outnumber anyway. Where we ever got this notion, to create this sort of caste and class based on color. I mean, it's unfair even to Caucasians. What about Caucasian? What about white German, white Italian, white Polish, white Irish? Those are all different cultures with their own specific customs. You come to America, we acculturate, or you assimilate. They decided to assimilate, and what you end up with is this is going to be the gold standard, but it's not that way anymore. It's black, it's white, it's Latino, it's Pacific Islander, it's Vietnamese, it's Chinese, it's Japanese. We all come together, and we don't have to minimize our culture in order to still be in the majority. Baby, we all are in the majority. You understand what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying.
We're all in the majority.
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm jumping tracks again. How does one know when it's time to come and see a professional like yourself?
When everything is going wrong, and when absolutely nothing is going wrong.
Elaborate on that.
Well, it's preventive care. I tell patients, and I've said this since I was an intern, so when you go to your medical doctor, your family practitioner, for your regular checkup, do you go there saying, I know he's going to tell me I've got diabetes, I've got cancer, I've got high blood pressure? I said, no. They say, when you go there, what do you expect him to say? That everything is okay? So, preventive care. Come see me. Come see a professional psychologist. As the work that I do, particularly at this point, even as a life coach or whatever, and we can sit down and talk, and you just check in. You check in with your kids sometime. There's nothing particularly going on. That's how you prevent things. See, had we loved our kids and had the men been in home like they should have been over the last 30, 50 years, then when crack came in, it would have went right past our neighborhood. We didn't check in with our children. So we moved past what we call primary prevention. We moved into secondary and tertiary. In some cases, it's like a chronic illness like AIDS. It's tertiary. There is no cure for it. We're going to make the patient as comfortable as possible until they pass on. I'm going to tell you something, Dr. Lewis, I refuse to see black men forever sit in tertiary. It's not going to happen. Not on my watch. First of all, I trust God too much for that, and He has too much invested in all of us, and it's not going to happen. It is not going to happen. So we can do this. So we need to check in. Stop being afraid. We're afraid to die. We're afraid to live. We're afraid to fail. We're afraid to succeed. This is crazy. Come talk about it. Sit down on the couch and pay your $250 and let's talk about it. Find somebody with the sliding scale.
Look at you. Look at you. Look at you. We are down to the last couple of moments of the show. I mean, I hate this. I hate this. What do you have?
I got something for you.
Oh, you got something for me?
Yeah, I got something for you.
What you have for me?
Because you gave me a gift, and I brought this from home. When I do my lectures, and when I go to Europe, I'm going to do the same thing. And it's a CD and a DVD of some of the shows and things like that. And it's just a thank you. And
look at that. Look at that.
I want you to have that.
Oh, look at you.
I want you to have that.
Look at you. Wait a minute, you turn the tables on me now. Now, wait a minute, you're not supposed to be doing, I'm supposed to be doing this.
No, it's yours, though. It's yours. That's yours.
Thank you.
That's yours.
Thank you so much.
Because I love you. I'm serious.
I love you too. You know what? I wish we could just talk all day because, again, on the personal notes, I can just glean from information. But I am a full believer of getting help.
Yeah.
And not because one is crazy,
Exactly.
but to keep from going crazy.
Exactly. Exactly.
You know, I can't
Exactly.
even count the number of times I've sat in front of a professional psychologist.
I do ongoing.
See?
I have a therapist.
Now, if you have one, now you know we need one. You know we need one.
Yes.
And so what would be your final word in our last moment? What would be your final word to us?
Well, I think that let's understand our brilliance. I want to talk about the children. In the final word, we are trying to raise an army. Black people, we need to understand that that 6-year-old kid that just recently died with the drive-by, that's my child. It doesn't have to be my seed. You didn't have to birth him. That's my child. When we start to see each other as that's our children, things will get better for us, and we understand the brilliance and tell each other we're brilliant and stop being surprised by it. Stop being surprised by the brilliance.
And stop suppressing it. Stop talking about how stupid and dumb and crazy they
Exactly.
are.
It's stop worshiping Flavor Flav. and consider I Love New York to rethink her position.
Right, exactly.
You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
And let's get and go see a good therapist and go to church, a good one, not just anyone, because there are a lot of ones that suck.
As you can see, Dr. Crenshaw holds back nothing. He just lets it all hang out. I encourage you, really and seriously, get help. We all need help.
Yeah.
Each one of us. I need help. You need help. God has placed within this world professionals that's able to give us the help that we need. Don't go crazy. Don't miss out on life. Get some help. I guarantee you it would change your life. We love you. Again, we've been with Dr. Gabriel Crenshaw. Email me, and this man who's so opinionated, if you want to get in contact with him, contact me and I'll put you in touch with him. Until next time, take care and I love you. Look at you.